Hi guys, I am Lay. If you are new to my channel, hello. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Okay, so I think today I'm gonna start with my eyes again. Like, I know that's usually that's my norm, and today for my eyes I'm gonna use the Morphe Artistry palette, which is in collaboration with James Charles. The reason I want to use this, even though I'm doing a like neutral look, I want to use the rose in the middle. Now I already own this palette, so I want to make sure that I use it, if that makes sense. But Wet n Wild actually has a dupe for this, and then the Morphe brand also has the exact same palette in mini form. So it's not like really like mini, it's a little bit smaller and the pans are just smaller. So I highly suggest picking those up. If you don't want to spend 40 bucks, I believe this was like, I think this is $39.99. If you don't want to spend 40 bucks on an eyeshadow palette, you can go for Wet n Wild or the mini version, which I think is 24. To start off this tutorial, even though I'm going to start with my eyes first, I'm going to start by moisturizing. You guys know that I like to moisturize prior to doing any type of application, and the reason why I like to moisturize first is because I like to give it a chance to sit in my skin. I feel like my foundation does a lot better when I do it that way, you know? So all the products that I am using today will be down in the description box, so make sure that you check that out. I always have all of my products in the description box, and if you follow me on Instagram, underneath the picture of whatever makeup look I'm wearing at that time, all of the products are at the bottom. So for moisturizer, I'm using the Fourth Ray Beauty Rose Milk and the Fourth Ray Beauty Hydrate Vitamin C Elixir. So now I'm going to zoom you in and we're going to start on the eyes. To save on time, I actually did my brows off camera, so my brows are already done and, you know, like ready to go. So I'm gonna do this eye, and I've kind of been really into the whole well, I've been looking at a lot of the s'mores makeup looks, and those have really been like inspiring me. So I'm going to go on trend and I'm going to do the s'mores makeup look. So I'm going to prime my lids using the P. Louise base in Rumor 3, and I'm just going to take a little dollop of this and then spread it out all over my lid. And then we'll start with the fun part, which is the colors. So if you are a makeup enthusiast or a makeup artist, I highly suggest getting you a color switch. I got this one from Sephora, but I know that there are a lot of other brands that sell it as well. I'm not sure of any, but if I can think of any, I might put it like in my Insta stories or on my Instagram, or maybe even in the description box. But if I can find some, I will definitely leave that down for you. So I'm using, to spread out the product, I'm using my Zoeva 142 concealer buffer brush, and this just helps give you a nice, smooth, even base. All right, so let's get started. So the first brush that I'm using is my Zoeva 227 Luxe Soft Definer Brush, and I'm going to go in with my Graham Cracker color, which in the James Charles palette is Code James. It's really pretty, but I'm gonna start buffing that in, and I'm using small circular motions to blend that shadow in the crease area. And you just want to make sure that you're going back and forth with these circular motions until you get a nice, even, blended, pigmented crease. So by the time you're done, the first set of blend, it should look like this. Okay, I think that's better. So, so this is what the first blend should look like. So now I'm taking a Morphe M507 brush. It is just a smaller, fluffy brush, and I'm going to go in with the deeper shade, which is still like Graham Cracker, and that is 10% off. And I'm just applying that a little bit lower, and again building that color up. So I'm using the same circular motions for this color, and we're building it up. Just so that you have a nice even blend, you want to go back in with your fluffier brush. So that would be my Soft Definer Brush 227 by Zoeva, and I'm just taking a little bit of Code James and I'm blending out those edges some more. This is just going to soften up that deeper brown, and this is the one that I would consider is like the graham cracker shade, because again, we're doing the s'mores look, so you need a graham cracker shade. And then I'm taking my color switch. I'm going to clean off my Morphe M507 brush, and then I'm going to go in with the last deep shade, which is No Beans. And we're just placing that a little bit lower. It's okay if you get it on the lid. You're going to be cleaning that up, so don't worry about it. But with each deeper color, you want to go down. You want to move it lower on the crease. So I'm just using these same circular motions. It helps to hold the end of the brush. Circular motion, circular motion, circular motion. And again, with the fluffy brush, I'm using the same shade code James and blending it out using a very light hand. So literally, you kind of just want to go back and forth between those colors. I think I want to deepen it just a little more with the shade Benny. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm using Benny, which is like a deep chocolate shade, and I'm blending that into the crease area now. Now you can see that it kind of looks a little bit harsh, so I'm going back in with 10% off, and I'm going to blend out those edges. Going back in with code James and blending out those edges. Now, as you can see, which I might zoom in just so you can see, as you can see, there are no harsh lines. It goes from a very deep chocolate brown to my graham cracker shade, and that's what you want when you're blending. So now we're going to cut the crease, and what I'm going to do is I'm not cutting it all the way. I'm just cutting it towards the inner portion. I'm going to use the same shade that I used on my lid as my base. I'm using the Rumor number 3, and we're going to use that to cut the crease. So the first thing I'm going to do is pat this into that section and then create my cut crease like that. Make sure that you have something where you could look forward so you can see where the cutting of the crease will be. So I'm just using a patting motion to get a nice thin even layer before I move on to my next color. Once I have that, I've actually been enjoying using like these concealer brushes to add on eyeshadow shades. So this brush that I'm using, this is by Luxie. This is the Luxie 211 concealer brush, and I'm going to actually use this to pack on the first. I'm going to use all 3 shades. So shade number 1 I'm going to be using is going to be called Flashback, and that is my marshmallow. You just want to press it in. Okay. So the first shade is on, and I put that on the first quarter of my lid. I should have used a white base, but that's okay. So now I'm going in with code James, and I'm going to place that right next to it. And normally it's, you know, the graham crackers on the outside, but we want this to blend nicely. So we're going to put marshmallow on the front, graham cracker in the middle, and chocolate on the outside. I know it looks crazy right now. Don't worry. It will come together, I promise. So now I'm going in with 10% off. Outside of that, it's good to take the 2 colors that are, you know, meshing together and put one color on one side and the other color on the other side, so that you can pretty much blend them together, because you want it to be a gradient effect. Make sure you clean it off good, because when you use like a pure white, that can go so wrong. Oh my gosh, that can go so wrong. So I'm just blending that white in. And can you see the gradient effect already? I have white on one side, and I have code James. I have Flashback on one side and code James on the other, and that's how I'm blending them. Boom. So now we're gonna take that last shade, my Chocolat, and I'm taking the shade Benny, which is like that deep brown, and I'm gonna put it on the outer corner. But to blend that out, I'm gonna go in with No Beans, and I'm actually gonna take my Morphe M507 brush, and I'm gonna use that to pretty much blend everything together. And now at this point, you can add whatever shades you feel you need to touch up, and there you have it. I'm gonna quickly do the other eye off camera. I'm not gonna do a winged liner, but I am gonna tight line my lashes, and I'll be right back. So you're done. Now you can go about your day. Okay, so like right here, there was a pimple there, and I am the type of person, if I know a pimple is there and it's like white or it's like ugly, I have to pop it. Like, I'm one of those people who gets satisfaction out of watching like the pimple popper. Hopefully it stops bleeding so that I can get on with my tutorial. So to save on time, I went ahead and did all the boring stuff off camera. So I did my other eye, and I also primed and color corrected. For primer, I used my Maybelline Master Prime. This is in Blur and Illuminate. It's number 200. And then for color correcting under my eyes, I use the very little bit. Like I use a very little bit. I don't use a lot to color correct. I use the Maybelline Master Camo, and this is in Apricot. So now we can get on to the fun stuff. For foundation, I'm using the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. This is in shade 09 Tan. This is definitely a drugstore full coverage foundation. So if you are looking for an alternative to like Huda Beauty or even Fenty Beauty, the Milani one is a good alternative. It's a good foundation to look into. It's very, the only thing about it I'll say is that you, like for me at least, if I put it on, I know I have it on, you know? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's one of those foundations that it's like, okay, I know I'm wearing something. So I like to use a brush. I'm using the Zoeva 102 Silk Finish brush. For concealer, I'm using two different concealers. I'm going to use the CoverGirl Trublend concealer. This is in the shade Caramel, Golden Caramel, and then I'm using my ColourPop concealer in the shade Medium Dark 30. So I'm using the CoverGirl one to hide any like darkness. I have that color corrector underneath, so I like to put something down just to help conceal that. I can use this on a no makeup day because it's pretty much the same color as my skin. To highlight, I'm using the ColourPop one, which I'm almost out of. I'm going to be needing a new one soon. And I like to bring this a little lower. When I blend lower, I feel like I get a better full coverage blend. I feel like this because, I don't know, I just feel like it does a way better job of giving me that brightness, especially since I am going to be adding shadow to my lower lash line. I have done my concealer and my foundation. I can go ahead and do my lower lash line. So I'm pretty much going to be doing the exact same thing I did at the top in reverse order. When I do my lower lashes, I do like to start with the deepest color and then work my way up to a lighter shade. So I'm taking a Morphe M508 brush, which is a really pretty smudge brush, and I'm going to go in with the deepest shade that I use, which is Benny. And I'm going to place that on my lower lashes. Now I'm going to clean that off, and instead of going in with no beans, I'm going to like skip a color, and I'm going to go in with 10% off, and then I might, if it's necessary, I might go in with Code James. So I do think I'm going to go in with Code James if I can find the brush that I want to use for it. I'm going to use this Zoeva pencil brush, the 230 brush, and I'm going to go in with Code James, and I'm just going to blend that out a little bit more. And then there you have it. So at this point, you can add whatever eyeliner you want. Black will work. You can use a nude, and you can also use a brown. I'm going in with black because I love black. I'm using the Essence Long Lasting Eyeliner in Black Fever. And then you can go ahead and add mascara to your lower lashes. At this point, I kind of screwed up my concealer. Okay. So yeah, at this point you can go ahead and add lower lash mascara. I'm just gonna go in with my Tarte mascara. Okay, so lashes are done, and now we can go ahead and move back into face. To set everything, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Fit Me powder. This is in shade Medium Deep 30. This is a really good setting powder. Little tip, I have been trying to figure out what has been going on with my under eyes. They get super dry. I cannot bake at all. So what I've been doing is I've been taking my powders and literally just setting underneath my eyes with a brush. So I just lightly pat a little bit in those areas, and I like to use a powder that's a little more brightening. This just helps, like when I use concealers that are not as like bright, this just helps like put everything together. So I'm also going to take a fluffy brush and just add like the tiniest bit of this powder all over. You know what powder I want to try? The Sephora Micro Smooth. I know it was really popular when Alyssa Ashley talked about it, but I've never used it. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to bronzer. For bronzer, I'm going to go in with their Brontour palette. This is in the shade Fantabulous, which is really pretty because it has a bronzer and a contour. Sometimes I just mix them together to get a nice bronze shade. So this is just giving me a nice warm flush of color. For me, this is too warm for like contour. This is definitely strictly bronzing. Now I am a blush lover, so for blush I'm going in with the Morphe blush palette. This is the W8 Warm Master Blush, so it has 8 different warm blushes, and I think for today I'm going to use Unapologetic just because it's more of like a neutral blush. Like it's not too red, especially since this bronzer is so red. And I'm just using a dual fiber brush to get my color. And I'm gonna go ahead and do my nose contour. You guys already know. I'll be right back. Okay, so my nose is nice and contoured and ready to go. Now it's time for a highlight. I'm going to be using Extra by Morphe. It's this really pretty like champagne shade. It's not really like gold, it's like champagne. So it's like that pale gold, and I'm using a Morphe 510 brush. I am not wetting my face first because I don't want it to be like super unnatural, but this highlight already, like, you know, it's bright enough on its own. You don't have to. And another thing I've stopped doing, I have stopped putting it on my Cupid's bow until I've already put on my like my lipstick, because I've noticed you cover it and that defeats the whole purpose if I put it on there. Okay, so I have 2 choices. I can either go with Whirl, which is like, this would look really nice with this, or I could do a oldie but a goodie. This is Honey Love. Fun fact, this is the first MAC lipstick I ever bought. I think because it's winter, I'm gonna go with Whirl. So let's hope that this looks good with this, which of course it does. Great thing about the MAC lipsticks is that you don't have to add anything else to it. You can kind of just leave it like this. So I'm going to set my face using my Morphe continuous setting mist, and then I'm going to change and we'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I love this look. I love the way it came out. I think it is so pretty and versatile. I think that this is perfect for like, let's go to the movies, bae. Like, this is a nice date night look. Like, it's neutral colors, but you still get to be a little glam. I love looks like this, and I know that this look was trending. Like, I was seeing it all over my timeline, so I had to take a jab at it. So this is like your s'mores, warm campfire, cozy up look. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate it if, in order to help me grow, you would share this video and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you are new and you've made it all the way to the end. I mean, like, come on. And until next time, beauties, mwah, stay blessed.